Hello everyone, it's David Griffin with Meathead Charcoal, and I'm excited to be coming to you today to tell you about our brand new video series where I'll be sitting down with passionate entrepreneurs across all industries to hear their stories about how they built their businesses from the ground up. We'll talk about all the real stuff, the wins, the losses, the setbacks, the growth, and the fun times to learn how they took an idea and turned it into something great. Whether you're thinking about starting your own business or just love a good success story, this is going to be the series for you. So grab a seat, maybe a cold drink, sit back and enjoy as we get to know these wonderful people and businesses. Good afternoon. Welcome back to our Meathead series. I'm David Griffin, founder of Meathead Charcoal, and I'm pleased to be joined by Maggie Griffin of Maggie Griffin Designs. Maggie is the owner and principal and lead designer of Maggie Griffin Designs, which is a well-established interior design firm here in Northeast Georgia. Thank you for being here, Maggie.
Thanks, and I'm your wife.
I was going to mention right after that, she also happens to be my wonderful wife and the mother of my 3 boys that we're happily raising here in Gainesville.
Oh, yeah.
But we're pleased she took the time to join us and to tell us a little bit about her business journey. To start with, just tell us a little bit about Maggie Griffin Design.
First, thank you for having me. You're my favorite interviewer yet, so thank you so much. So, just like you said, we're a high-end residential design firm here in Gainesville, and as you know, we do work all over the Southeast. My business has really grown over the years, and we have expanded into retail now with the addition of Maggie Griffin at Home. And it's just been a lot of fun to kind of see the growth in North Georgia. I know that you see it too in your business, and we just feel really lucky to be a part of all of that at Maggie Griffin Design.
Well, you've been in this business for a long time, so what would you say inspired you to do it from the start?
Well, it's one of those things I feel like I've been doing it my whole life. I had 2 beautiful grandmothers and a mom with wonderful taste, and they exposed me to a lot from a really young age. We would set off from our small town where we grew up in Hawkinsville in Middle Georgia, and we would hit Atlanta, and it was a big deal to go to Atlanta, and that was where they showed me my first show houses and my first antique mall, and all the things that really kind of planted those seeds early on. But now it feels like something that's just second nature to me. It feels like an extension of my home. It feels like an extension of entertaining and really just an extension of family.
Well, in my opinion, you were born to do this. You're supremely talented, and you've done it our entire marriage, which is 16 years now. But I am curious, was there a point in time where it truly clicked and everything came together?
Well, when I graduated from college in 2008, not a great time in, general economy. It was a very tricky time when it comes to real estate. There were some, just weird job opportunities, or really not any job opportunities that seem like they are now. And so at the time, I just kind of took my time, and you allowed me to do that. You allowed me to have the time and space to do that. And after I kind of hung out my hat and got my first set of clients, things really grew organically. Back then, blogging was a really big deal. And so you and I did a lot of DIY in our first house, and I would take pictures and do the before and afters, and got a really great little following pretty quickly. And then it kind of just went from there. Then comes Pinterest comes, and then Facebook, of course, had started while we were in school, and then comes Instagram and all the tools that we have at our fingertips now that make this, advertising very free and accessible. And I feel like that really, after blogging and then adding in the social media aspect of it, really kind of took things to a different level as far as exposure goes. And then I had my first opportunity to be filmed and to be photographed and to be placed in publications about 10 years ago. And then that was another great stepping stone. And then now I'm in a great place where, we are published all the time. We have a wonderful PR team. And those 3 stepping stones really have been the growth of my business. And I remember a long time ago, someone said, you're just going to need that one client that believes, you can have lots of other smaller clients who are your friends or family, but you're going to need that one client. And it was so true looking back, giving someone that had confidence in me and gave me the opportunity to share my talents with them. And then, the rest is history.
Well, I was going to ask what were some of the earlier challenges that you had to overcome, but it seems like a lot of it was timing and the economy and the markets and just trying to figure out who your client base is.
Sure.
So what would you say has made the biggest impact? Was it something you did from a marketing standpoint? Was it that first set of clients taking a chance on you? Mm-hmm. What's been the biggest differentiator for you?
Well, there were growing pains all along the way. Our family expanded, and, that causes a shift in timing. But I would say really my biggest piece of advice would be to someone is the consistency in your business. And what I mean by that is, even on the days where it gets hard and you feel like maybe this is not for you, just stay consistent. Stay consistent to your business practices. Stay consistent on sharing those beautiful images on social media, or whatever you're doing in the way of marketing. Just stay consistent with it. And I think that that's such a testament to longevity. And the businesses that I have admired and have watched grow and thrive, that's something that they've done too.
So lots of people think that they want to be an entrepreneur. And lots of people want to own their own business. And I'm sure from the outside in, everybody looks at your social media, which is beautiful and very impressive, and thinks, I'd love to do that. But what would be your biggest advice of what makes a successful entrepreneur and makes you truly stand out?
Well, I think, again, the consistency factor is such a big one. And that's knowing that you have the wherewithal and the self-motivation to get up every day and do it on your own, because no one's sitting there telling you to get up every day and do it. In the beginning too, I did everything. I did the billing, I did the mood boards, I did the proposals, I did the orders, the scheming, the meetings. And that was tough, but at the end of the day, I know how to do all of those things. And over time, as my business has grown and I've been able to hire people to help me with those things so that I can do what I think I do best, which is meeting with the clients and getting to know them and coming up with creative ways to give them the house of their dreams. And so it's allowed me to have the focus to do that and have been able to hire people to help me with the other things that aren't quite as fun. But what you see on our social media and on our video tours and our Facebook and all those things and our website, our portfolio, those are very beautiful, glossy pictures. But no one really knows what all goes into those photos. And so that's about 10% of what we do. But it's all wonderful and it's all fun, and I feel very blessed. But I think that, knowing what I know about entrepreneurship, I would encourage anyone to shadow another entrepreneur to kind of see what their day is like. We all laugh that we put out fires all the time. It's true. There's just a lot of fires, and you kind of tend to the biggest fire of the day, which one's burning the hottest at that moment. But at the end of the day, it's all wonderful. It's all blessings. And so I try to just remember that, to not get too caught up in the stress of it.
Well, hopefully those fires don't burn as hot as Meathead Charcoal does. But if they do, I'm sure you can handle it. What would you say if you could go back to Maggie Griffin leaving college, starting out? What would be your biggest piece of advice you would give yourself?
Well, number one, I think anyone starting out is knowing their own worth. Having the confidence and knowing the worth to ask for the things that you want, to charge what you need, to create the space for yourself. But I think that has a lot to do too with defining your business goals. And I know I should have done more of that back then. It's, what do you want out of this? How much do you want to make? How many days do you want to work? What are your goals? What is your dream project? What are the parameters of your work? And just defining those for yourself and revisiting that all the time. Whether you keep a note in your phone or you write it down, and maybe every 3 or 6 or 12 months, go back and revisit that, and just make sure that where you are right now aligns with what you established in the very beginning for yourself.
That sounds really good. Makes sense. So since we're Meathead Charcoal, I'm curious, if you could provide some tips for our followers, that if Maggie Griffin's hosting a family barbecue, friends and family are gathered around outside, what does she envision for the perfect outdoor space and the perfect family barbecue?
That's a fun question. And I feel really lucky that you and I are on the same page about loving to have people that we love in our own home. So, you know, you and I, we laugh sometimes when we're setting up for these things, when we're hosting, and we say, you know, we're good at this. Like, I think you and I have really kind of, we're in sync on that after all these years. And thank you for letting me do that for all this time. But, you know, when I give advice for entertaining, especially if you're the hostess, and say, you know, David's in charge of the grill, I just say not to overthink it. First off, I think there's so many people who won't allow themselves to have someone over because they're afraid of not doing the right thing. And really, at the end of the day, everything that I do and you do is about being together, right? So it's about family. It's about creating that space for people where they love to hang around the grill. And it's that camaraderie and it's that bond. And so I just say not to overthink it. Just do it, because you won't regret it. Now, I do believe in making it easy on yourself with just a little bit of planning ahead. You know, maybe you don't make every single thing you're serving. Maybe you hire those things out. Maybe there's someone who's local that does like a great deviled egg that you can order, or maybe someone else that does an awesome pasta salad, or something that you can make beforehand. I think that those are easy ways to have, you know, something wonderful that's coming off of the grill, but that can pair with that really easily. The other thing is, you know, just give it some forethought on what's going to make the day run a little smoother. Coolers of ice, you know, having waters, you know, nearby. Someone's going to ask where the restroom is. Just go ahead and kind of anticipate the need too. And then it just makes the day that much more enjoyable for everybody. Now, as far as, you know, here in the South, we don't get the luxury of having so many cool days to entertain. We either have summer, not summer, and kind of a winter. But I think that just kind of anticipating that too, checking the weather, make sure everything's going to work okay, have seating for everyone, make it easier on you, have paper plates, you know, and a trash can nearby so it's easy for people to help you clean up. But I just say not to overthink it. And if you are having fun and you're relaxed, then your guests will have fun and be relaxed.
Well, Meathead Charcoal is built on the idea of friends and family gathering around the grill, and I certainly think that's great advice. Don't overthink it. Just enjoy what you're doing and who you're with, and I think those are great tips to help people get to a place that Maggie Griffin Design would approve of. So we appreciate Maggie being here today. I'm curious if you could go back, what is the one thing you wish you would have known prior to starting your business?
I should have taken an accounting course, and I recently spoke to some students and gave them that same advice. I think that it's one thing to have a creative mind like I do and to run a business, but you know, the nuts and bolts of accounting is something that every small business owner really should have a background in, and so that would be mine.
I totally agree with that. That's very useful and practical for all business owners. As businesses grow, things evolve. And certainly when it comes to Meathead Charcoal, we were founded as a charcoal company, but we have since expanded our product line to include rubs, sauces, dog treats, wood chunks, other things. In a similar vein, you spoke earlier about Maggie Griffin at home, in addition to the design services. Could you tell us a little bit more about that and what went into that decision?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. I know that as entrepreneurs, you and I talk about a lot, and I feel really lucky that that is a part of our, you know, our daily, you know, catch up is we talk about all the things that you and I have going on. And, you know, as you know, about 4 years ago, I found myself really looking to kind of expand our brand. I felt like there were things that I wanted to include in my projects and things that I really wanted to develop. And so I was able to connect with someone who helped me do that through word of mouth and a friend of a friend. And so my sister Abby had the time and space then too to come on board and help me with those, you know, making that dream a reality. So Maggie Griffin at Home is the retail outlet part of Maggie Griffin Design. And what it was really I was looking for the resource locally to be able to put things in our clients' homes that I loved. And so, you know, kind of where we are, there weren't all the things in one place that I really wanted to grab, for an install, or even when I'm setting someone's table or we're decorating for Christmas. And so Maggie Griffin at Home was a natural extension of that. Then the product development side of it was just really fun and creative. And Abby and I had a great time. We developed our Everyday Linens line, which includes 2 different patterns and 3 different colorways of beautiful linens, tablecloths and napkins for the tabletop, a beautiful collection of antique tollware inspired pieces that I know your mom had a beautiful collection of tollware, and that was something that I really will always remember about her. And my grandmothers and mom have those same pieces too. And so they were just some fun things that we've kind of wanted to bring to the market. And then in addition to that, we have beautiful things that we sell as seasonal items. We have accessories. So we found ourselves being asked all the time, where do you find that? Where do you source that, beautiful vase or maybe that oyster plate? And so having those things available to say, hey, head over to Maggie Griffin at Home. They're products that we feel strongly about their quality, and, they're also things that we can utilize for our clientele.
So I'm just curious, Maggie, as you know, Meathead has several different products that we offer. I do most of the grilling in the house, so her favorites may not be the charcoal to use, but I'm curious of the sauces and the rubs, what would be your favorite?
Well, I have so enjoyed watching how you have taken Meathead charcoal and grown it into what you have. And it's just been it's been a joy to watch. So great job. And I can't wait to see what else you come up with. I also love the products. I mean, we went from, you bagging this charcoal yourself to this beautiful product line now. And I just think it's so lovely and impressive. I would say that the Pam Jam is my favorite sauce, and it's named after your mama, and it's a recipe that, your mama really didn't measure a whole lot, if I remember right.
She did not.
But she was the most excellent, wonderful cook. And I love that y'all were able to kind of, get some ratios and some right measurements for the to bring that to the market, because everyone loves it so much. But I love it especially because it's named after her. And then, of course, the Spicy Pam that came after that, too. She would just be so proud.
Yep. So thank you again for being here, Maggie. This one was extra special, being that Maggie Griffin is, in fact, my wife, and we're very thankful for her. Hope everybody enjoyed this, and hope you'll follow both Maggie Griffin Design, Maggie Griffin at Home, and Meathead Charcoal on all the socials. Thanks.